Assaulting Ukrainian infantry teams backed by swarms of domestically manufactured drones are retaking ground from Russian forces in the northern Kharkiv sector. Both sides are reporting that Kyiv's fighting men have established a marked artillery firepower advantage over Moscow's troops for the first time in months. The Ukrainian gains, according to field reports, are in built-up areas of the town of Vovchansk and the village of Hlybok, both sites of major Russian offensives launched since early May. Kyiv's forces have scored modest but confirmed advances at both locations, the US-based Institute for the Study of War think tank reported on June 25th. News feeds from units in all those sectors had reported modest Ukrainian advances since mid-June in Vovchansk and the villages of Liptsy, Hlybok, and Taike. In some cases, the seizure of Russian defensive positions were confirmed by video and prisoners of war interviews published by open sources. The pro-Moscow military blogger Alexander Sladkov on Monday told his 900,000 followers that Russian forces fighting in the Vovchansk, Liptsy sector have lost the initiative and were struggling to hold ground captured in May. He said that Kyiv has deployed elite assault units to the Kharkiv sector and was reinforcing them constantly. Our artillery gunners have learned that for every shell that we Russian forces fire, the enemy Ukraine answers with 20 rounds from its side. The intensity of operations of enemy artillery has spiked dramatically. If we are talking about counter-battery fire, they are conducting bombardments against Russian guns and howitzers from two directions. They have no shell shortage whatsoever, Sladkov said. The largest internet providers in Russian-occupied Crimea suffered a massive cyber attack on Wednesday, June 26th, the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, which claimed credit for the attack, told Kyiv Post. Several large service providers in Crimea were hit by HUR's cyber attack, the source said. According to the Deputy Minister of Internal Policy, Information and Communications of the Occupation Administration, Yulia Kirik, the types of cyber attacks the Russian occupation authorities are seeing from the Ukrainians is constantly changing. In early June, SHUR cyber specialists carried out a massive attack on the websites of the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Information Technology and Communications, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the Ministry of Emergency Situations, the Ministry of Industry and Energy of the Russian Federation. On June 12th, on the so-called Day of Russia, the Ukrainians attacked online platforms of Russian airports, leading to flight delays. It seems that it's time for Russian cyber specialists to turn on their Shebernet instead of the World Wide Web and install a native Russian firewall, separating themselves from the entire free world. This is the only way they have a chance to protect themselves from our attacks, Kyiv Post's source said. Russian Yuri Gritsenko, known as the Zelenograd Chikatilo, after a previous Soviet-era serial killer Andrei Chikatilo, preyed on women in Moscow and the Moscow region. In September, he volunteered to go to war in Ukraine, where he has been serving in a medical evacuation platoon, according to the Russian Telegram channel SHOT, citing sources. Gritsenko, 62, was due for release from penal colony IK-10 in Mordovia this summer after serving his full 22-year sentence, but volunteered to serve in a Storm Z unit and was released to serve. However, he was found to be unfit for a combat role, so was selected for the medical evacuation platoon. According to the media, Gritsenko asked to go to war to earn money on the outside, because according to SHOT, after the death of his mother, her apartment in Zelenograd was returned to the state. His contract with the Russian army will end when the war in Ukraine ends, after which he will be released. At one time, Gritsenko kept all of Moscow and the Moscow region in fear. A serving police officer, he was dismissed from the force for drunkenness. He committed his first murder in 1993, beating his victim to death with a frying pan. After serving 9 years in prison, he was released on parole and committed a series of attacks on women within a year. He attacked his victims with a hammer because, by his own admission, he liked the dull sound of the blow, the SHOT Post reported. The maniac, who killed 5 women and injured 10 others, was finally caught by a bus driver who heard the screams of his next intended victim. The bus driver saved the woman and managed to hold Gritsenko until the police arrived. Before the series of murders, Chikatilo was registered in a psychiatric clinic with a diagnosis of schizophrenia. Nina Ostanina, head of the State Duma Committee on Family Protection, proposed developing a special bill to provide legal protection for Russians from former prisoners who commit new crimes after returning from the war in Ukraine. Law enforcement agencies must take responsibility for protecting citizens from such criminals. It is necessary to establish regular control over their movements and provide them with employment assistance, Ostanina wrote on Telegram. Russia drops 1.5-ton ODAB 1500 UMPK on the center of Lvov in the Kherson region. A group of Ka-52, Mi-8, and probably Mi-28 helicopters in Kharkiv area. To protect their troops, Russians use helicopters a lot recently. Failed attempt by Russians on a desert cross to down a Ukrainian FPV drone with an assault rifle. Russian propagandist Solovyev. I would wipe Odessa, Mykolaiv, Kharkiv, and Kiev off the map. For anyone who still believes Russia is interested in any kind of negotiations.
Я бы стер с лица земли Одессу, Николаев, Харьков и Киев. Я дал бы 3 дня жителям, чтобы покинуть эти города. 3 дня. После чего нанес удары. Потому что именно с Одессы и Николаева наносятся удары по Крыму. Именно из Харькова используют как базу, наносятся удары по Белгороду. И именно Киев является тем центром, где принимаются все решения.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.